pattern, of a structure, of a line of propaganda, and what it's being replaced with is the good old confusion of free will, freedom, the incentive of individuals to find out their own history, who they are against this background context, and ask better and deeper questions. And so I want to thank everybody who showed up for this afternoon and suffered with all our technical problems, because I'm hoping we've got to the good part now, which is this is all about who are we really and what are we all really doing in this place.
Okay, and we are continuing this conference for at least the next 20 minutes. At that point, I'll just stop and ask everyone what they want to do and see where we're at. So I hope that that's okay with everyone. And I am now going to go to a person who has been holding on the line here. 484 is your area code, and if you could also say where you're from, if you don't mind. You're now live on the air. Go right ahead. And please address who your question is to.
Hello?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, my name is Anthony. I'm from Tucson, Arizona. The area code is Pennsylvania. My question, I guess, would mainly be for David. I'm hoping I can articulate this well, but I suppose other people can jump in on this. In regards to DNA change, one thing also, sorry, my voice is a little weird. Dolores Cannon's research, I noticed she was on a teleconference over the summer, but the energetic shift and whatnot for 2012. I'm sorry, I can't articulate. The DNA change she touched on. I'm really sorry.
Okay, are you done, caller, with the question? Do you want David to answer?
Yes. The energetic stimulus for what could be 2012, and through Dolores Cannon's research, her work shows that there would be a split in the Earth, kind of like a cell division. And I was wondering how much credence could be put into that through the physics that seems to be occurring, and also through how consciousness can affect Earth changes, say. And if positive and negative were split, and then with the negative consciousness staying with that Earth, all the destruction that could occur through the negative consciousness and whatnot.
Okay, so I'm going to mute you and allow David to answer your question. David, please go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to test again to make sure that I hear. There we go. Good. Okay, so subject of bullshit come up quite a bit in terms of discussions about what may be happening in 2012 and so forth. There is a rationale for a possible pole shift to occur. Of course, we've all heard the Charles Hapgood Earth-crustal displacement theory. We know that there are magnetic pole shifts that occur. I do want to point out that I did the research for my book, Source Field Investigations, and went through the 25,920-year cycle, this wobble in the Earth's axis called precession of the equinoxes. I specifically looked to see if there was a pole shift correlate with this cycle, and the answer is there is not. There definitely is not. There have been compelling arguments, and Richard, I'm sure, could go into this, from Walter Cruttenden regarding the idea that the Hindu version of the 25,920-year cycle does appear to have shorter cycles and longer cycles, and if you map them out, you can actually make an ellipse, which suggests that the precession is at least partially being driven by some extrasolar body that's orbiting the solar system in that 25,920-year orbit. However, it is also my understanding that this is not just something that only happens on Earth. It is actually a galactic cycle. I have some very compelling information to that end that came out for the book. And I want to go into that because it ties in with this, and I'm sure it's going to be fascinating for everyone. If you go back to the fossil record, the original two pioneers that found a cycle in the fossil record were James Rope and David Dec2010, two paleontologists from the University of Chicago. What they found was a cycle that lasts, so they claim, 26 million years. However, we now find out that the data samples that they took were in smaller chunks, and there is reason to believe that based on how they sampled the data, the actual cycle could be closer to 25 million years. Well, this is very interesting because if it's 25 million years, it represents 1/10 of the rotation of the galaxy, which has been calculated by many as about 250 million years. So let's go with that number. If you have 10 cycles of change in the fossil record, 10 divided into the galactic cycle is the same as what would happen if you take a geometry known as an icosahedron and stick it into the galaxy so that as we're orbiting through the galaxy, you hit one of these 10 nodal points around the galactic equator as you go along. And what's interesting about that is that harmonically speaking, the same geometry shows up on Earth as these 10 points around the equator, not including the North and South Pole, which make 12, that Ivan Sanderson discovered were the areas where you get warping points through space and time where ships and planes disappear. And this is something he determined by going through the entire history of airplane disappearances and marine vessel disappearances and anomalies, going back through all recorded history. He did an incredible amount of data. When Charles Berlitz wrote the book, The Bermuda Triangle, he only used a small eyedropper full of the data that was available from Sanderson's archives. So, these appear to be geometries that are created by vibration. The vibration is of a fluid-like medium that is not within our three-dimensional reality. But this fluid-like medium is the substrate, it's the building block of the universe, and it actually does have attributes of consciousness. For all intents and purposes, it is intelligent energy. So when you get these vortex points, you get interesting anomalies in space and time, and it appears that you're also getting a rewrite to the genetic code. Now, what's interesting is that the 25 million year cycle, which they're saying is 26, the 25 million year cycle is only the recent one. The older one was discovered by Robert Mueller and Robert Rode from University of California, Berkeley. That is 62 million years long. Richard was the first person to point out to me, and I had already thought about it, but I hadn't really gravitated on the importance of it, that 62 million years is exactly 1/4 of the galactic rotation. Do your little calculation, and you'll see 62 times 4 is 248, which again is right around 250. Well, there's plenty of calculations of the galactic rotation that come in around 250. And then if you divide the galaxy into quadrants, that could be either a cube or an octahedron, both of which, again, are geometric forms that show up in the etheric medium, in the torsion fields, as this fluid-like energy that makes the universe goes into vibration and creates these swirling energy nodes, which Hoagland was always talking about the tetrahedron. It's one of these 5 geometries like this, in the 19.5-degree point where you see cyclones, like the great dark spot on Neptune, the great red spot on Jupiter, on gas planets, and you see volcanoes like Hawaii and Olympus Mons, the shield volcano 3 times larger than Mount Everest, on Mars. These are facts. And what I've said now is that I believe gravitational currents are causing this. Gravitational currents are swirling around in the mantle where all the lava is that the continental plates are sitting on. Gravitational currents are pushing these mountains up out of the ground. Gravitational currents are pushing the atmosphere into these cyclones that you see on Mars, and that you see on Jupiter, and that you see on Neptune, and that you see in the sunspot activity. It's all gravity, and it all comes back to an intelligent energy field. So then getting back to 62 million year cycle, I believe that what we're actually seeing is energy fields in the galaxy that we move through based on the same geometric